Hi, this is part 2 of the interceptor demo. In this part, I'm going to try to demo how to rewrite the request path with HTTP header. In the previous step, we've already got the PathStar application started. Let's try the PathStar application. So we have first tried this path /v1/path. It works to return some meaningful response. Let's try another path to make sure like we don't have that path working. So our application, like consumer application, gonna access the path called this /paths. There's no v1. v1 was actually like in the API is added later on, like in this case. So you can see we got a path not implemented error. When we are trying, let's start the gateway first. We have gateway running here in the IDE. We've already showed you the configuration. So let's start the gateway. The gateway is listening to 8443 in HTTP. So let's try. Okay. Let's try to send the request to the gateway. If we send the request to the gateway, for example, let's say v1/paths, you can see we got the response. This is the gateway URL. Let's change this to port number 8443. You can see we still got a proper response because this v1/v1/path is implemented on the server. However, if we say we want to send to the gateway 8443 this path /paths, when we send this, we got path not implemented because /paths definitely not implemented on the backend PathStar application. However, if we want to make it work, we can add a header. Let me do this. Like this is the postman. So within the postman, I'm sending exactly the same request, the GET request, HTTP localhost 8443. 8443 is the gateway port number, and I use the /paths. Beside that, I'm adding this contact header as a v1. So if I send this request, you can see I received the proper response because on the gateway we have a rule to basically rewrite this URL, the request path, by adding this contact v1 into the prefix, which is /v1/paths. So the real request like sent to the backend will be the /v1/paths instead of like /paths. So this is like how the transformation works on the light gateway. Let me first show you the configuration on the light gateway and to see how that works. So this is the light gateway configuration. So you can see we have a rule loader here. The rule loader, like we have rule source from a config folder. Instead, like we're loading the rules from Light Portal. Light Portal does support all the rules loading from there and as a default, but you can still using the local rules YAML file to load all the rules. Also, if you load the local rules, you need to define the endpoint mapping to the rules. So you can see we have endpoint / let's look at our endpoint. We have this endpoint, paths at get, and we have a request transform rule. The rule ID actually is PathStar request path. So this is the rule we are executing in the interceptor. So this is the rule definition. If you look at the rule.yaml, you can see we have this rule defined here called pastor request pass. And this is a request transform rule type, and it's public visibility, and also we have condition, meaning the request pass equal to /pass. So if you have /pass comes in, it will basically execute this action class name, which is a header pass transform action. This header pass transform action is the one we implement in the plugin to do the real transformation. Get the v1 from the header and put this into the prefix for the request pass. And let's go back to the values.yaml. You can see we have this request transformer applied pass prefixes is /paths /v1 flowers. So we have to define this pass there like as a request transformer applied pass prefixes, so that when this pass is reached in the request, we can say we're gonna use the request transformer. Otherwise, the request transformer not gonna work. Also, we need to define the pass prefix service.mapping to have all the paths defined here. So you can see we have v1 paths and we have /paths. We also have two others like for other test cases, like we will mention that later on. In the service YAML, we have this section defined for the rule loading during the startup. So there is a startup hook provider. Implementation is loading the rules. Basically loading the rules from rules.yaml because we set up the source is a config folder. We also have this, because we are doing the request transformer, we have this request interceptor defined here, and we have the request transformer interceptor implementation defined here. So this is a rule-based interceptor implementation on the request side. We also changed the handler.yaml to add those interceptor here. So we have this response interceptor injection handler. We name it response interceptor, and we have request interceptor injection handler. We name it request interceptor. Those two are middleware handlers. Those two middleware handlers will be responsible to inject all the interceptors implementation defined in the service.yaml. You can see we put those two handlers in the middleware chain right after the correlation and before any meaningful request response manipulators. So this is all the configuration. And for this request pass, in the next tutorial, I'm gonna show you how to do the response body transformation. That's it. Bye.